Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's good. So somebody, I'm not sure, maybe.
Aaron just joined. Yep, Aaron just
Okay,
joined to help
perfect.
us. Yep.
Oh, hi, Aaron.
Hi. I'm
Thank you.
very not good at Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
No, you're
how
always
does-
good.
it is recording.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's good. I wasn't sure if it would record without me being here. But does anybody know how to have me make Jen the host?
Let's see. I don't know offhand. I'm actually looking for settings. I don't know if we can switch it.
You know what? Hang on a second. I think you can. There we go. I found it. Jen, you are now the host.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. I'm gonna mute and stay off.
Okay.
Have fun.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
then-
We'll just give a couple more minutes here.
Sure.
And then I'm
And
sure we'll have people probably joining at different points. Some people emailed that they may be a little late, so
yep.
go for it.
And it doesn't seem like we have to admit anybody. They just come on in,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
Cool. Ooh. Oh, we're up to 16 people and it's 7 o'clock. We will get started pretty soon here. And just to be fair to everyone, we are recording this meeting. You'll probably see the recording button somewhere on your screen. Just for those that can't be with us, because we are about 40 volunteers strong this year. So we're super excited to have this many parents and alumni parents of Meadowbrook, joining. So since we're recording, Pam, do you think we should just get started? And those that might join a little late will just be able to go back if they so choose.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Can everybody hear okay? No issues. Okay. All right. So Jen and I are your coordinators for the program for Art Adventure. And we've put together this training to give you a much better idea of what you'll be doing in the classrooms. We know a lot of you are new. So I think that this training should help get things started. And then if after you have questions, we can go from there. So for starters, I think maybe I'll just touch on the fact that I've worked with the Art Adventure program since my now graduated son was in a kindergarten at Meadowbrook. So it's been like 13 years, I think I've been helping out. And my second son is now a 9th grader. So these guys are long gone, but this program is one that I really have found so much value in as both a parent and then what I see the kids getting out of it. So as a new parent at Meadowbrook, sometimes I think I had a tendency to sign up for so many volunteer opportunities. I ended up whittling it down because this is one where, aside from being a room parent, you really get in the classroom and you get to interact with the kids. They remember you every year. Every time I'm in the hallways, people still remember me. The kids will come up and say hello. You make a huge impact on these kids. And it's a great way to boost the art program because our art teacher is really limited in how much time she has with the kids. So I think I'm hoping that you'll all find that you really enjoy it, especially for those of you that are new. Jen, do you want to touch on maybe your background a little bit?
Jen, I think you're muted.
How many of you are really good lip readers? Okay. Sorry. I love this program. This will be my 3rd year volunteering, and it's just really fun. And I don't have any background in teaching, but it's really neat how kids really just eat this up. And you'll see that there's this big book in front of you, but don't be intimidated by it. You just take bits and pieces that you like from it. And this training tonight is just kind of it's a framework, but you'll get your own style and you'll enjoy.
Okay, thanks, Jen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll go through this presentation that I've got. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. All right, so hopefully everyone can see this. Now, if you're not familiar, if you have yourself on mute, you can always use, if you scroll over the bottom of the screen, you have the options to type a message in the chat window, or you can raise a hand to imply that you have a question. And once we go through things, what we're going to do is I have a couple slides here to give an overview. And then we're going to watch a video, about a 20-minute video that the Minneapolis Institute of Art put together for this theme specifically, which is called Let's Celebrate Life. And that, for those of you who have your booklets handy, we won't actually go through them in detail tonight, but we wanted you to have them nearby if you could, just as a reference. And that's more detail for after this training session. Okay. So kicking it off, again, we're looking at, this is Art Adventure for 2022. For those of you who are new, you might ask, what exactly is Art Adventure? Now, it's a program that was created by the Minneapolis Institute of Art, or MIA, as they like to be called in their short acronym. It's where they put together the artwork and some of the materials, and then the individual schools sponsor the program. So Meadowbrook PTO gives us money to pay for the booklets, and then sometimes these big art reproductions that we have on foam core, as well as some other materials. Now this year, because we are doing both a virtual and an in-person program, we are not using the big foam core art copies of the art. We have it all virtual. So even if you're in the classroom teaching, you'll have your artwork on a screen. Okay, so that typically is covered by PTO. But the program overall, Art Adventure, you might hear friends from other districts talking about Art Adventure. It is statewide, and the museum encourages all schools to participate. So if they can get funding, schools do it. The program overall, it's the way for parent volunteers to come into the classrooms and expose kids to art. We have lots of students that never get to go to the museum. They don't go, they don't maybe know about it, they're just not exposed to it. So getting into the classroom with these 6 pieces of art within our theme, it's a great way to get the kids thinking creatively, critical thinking skills, global awareness. They learn things about other countries, faraway places. It's a great lesson packed into 30 minutes or so. So that is Art Adventure. You might be asking yourself, what's your role in this program as a parent volunteer? Well, you're considered a picture person, and that's Mia's term for you. So as a picture person, you'll go into the classroom to lead a session. And that's basically going to be a discussion about artwork, not necessarily a history lesson, but just a discussion. I'm on my call. And then after that discussion with the kids, you lead them in a pretty simple art project. So it comes to be about 30 to sometimes 45 minutes. And they can be a variety depending on all your availability. As we've been emailing, some of you might be doing 1 session, some might be doing 3, some might be doing more than 1 classroom. So we have all these different variables for all of you. Okay, so this element of COVID, and whether we are teaching in person or virtually, is kind of hinging on the fact that the district is asking that anyone that goes into the school or into the classrooms be vaccinated. And in order to prove that, they're simply asking that you either email or call the principal to let her know. And then in the next step after this session, we have Sign Up Genius emails that will go out, and that's where you kind of designate what your choice is. So you don't necessarily need to notify Jen and myself. You just know that if you're going into the classroom, you should be vaccinated, and the principal just needs that verbal confirmation. And you have the option of doing both virtual. You can do virtual whether you're vaccinated or not. And we've got everything set up so it's pretty simple either way. Okay. So in order to do this picture person role, there are basically 3 tools that you're going to have. It's the curriculum booklet, as well as links to these online artwork, the online artwork images. So where I mentioned before, we used to have big boards. We won't have that now. So whether you're in the classroom or virtually, you'll pull them up on the screen and I'll show you next what they look like. And then that third tool, or that third item that you're going to use for this session, are the artwork materials. And we have a huge help in Robin, who's put together some great artwork projects for us and all the details, and we'll go over that soon. So now for training, we've got 2 parts to our virtual training. The first is this video about Let's Celebrate Life, our theme. And then the second part is optional. After this session, you'll have the opportunity to sign up for any one of these 3 sessions. The first one, these are all offered by Mia. The intro to Art Adventure is just a little bit more detail than what I've given you now. And then you also have 2 other options depending on what grade you're presenting to. And you have the option of attending one or all of these. It's a Google Meet just like this where you log in. But you're either talking to the kindergarten through 3rd graders, the younger kids, and they teach you a little bit more how to work with them, as well as another session for the 4th through 6th graders. Okay, so that's optional. So we'll go through this video now. And then after the video ends, it's about a 20-minute video that talks specifically about our theme. And then after that, we'll touch base on a couple more pieces before we sign off. Does anyone have any questions at this point? No? Okay. So I'll get the video started now. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. And you can feel free to raise a hand or chat or ask a question during the video too. We can always pause it.
Welcome to the first.
Tired of cold calling?
Thought I skipped a video.
Introducing Lucia, the easiest, most
Sorry about the ad.
Welcome to the first part of your Art Adventure Picture Person training. I'm so glad that you're joining me today in this new virtual space. My name is Amanda Lesnikowski, and I'm the Student and Teacher Learning Coordinator at MIA. You'll be hearing a lot of me this year, and I look forward to when we can gather in person again. The best way to contact me is by email. Please save this address to your contact list. If you're looking for our Art Adventure webpage, please visit artsmia.org and use the search function for Art Adventure. Let's dive in. We have a lot to cover today, so I want to give you an idea of what to expect. First, I hope you'll leave with a solid understanding of Art Adventure's goals and objectives. We'll take some time to discuss best practices, but you'll also have a chance to explore that later in virtual training. That being said, I'll explain what needs to happen after you finish this video. And of course, we'll take a look at your theme and its 6 artworks. Let's consider some goals and objectives. Art Adventure wants to get students talking. It's not meant to be an art history lesson. We want to engage our students and hear from them, then take our conversations in a direction that will keep them excited. We know that we can help students practice 5 critical thinking skills. The first, describe what you see. Think of this like, what's going on in this painting? 2, notice details. This could be asking, what do you see that makes you say that? 3, understand how the parts form a whole idea or artwork. Take the time to understand the story or narrative being told to us by the artist. 4, support interpretations with sufficient reasons. This might be a student telling you they see a dog, even if you see a cat, because they identify its pointy ears and long tail. 5, support opinions or preferences with sound reason. For example, a student tells you they really love a particular sculpture because it reminds them of a time they were playing with their best friend, and that's a happy memory for them. So how do we take all of these critical thinking skills and support them in the classroom? Let's look. Best practices. There are 4 steps I'd like you to try and follow in the classroom. These are going to be helpful for in-person conversations or over a virtual platform like Zoom and Google Meet. The first is look. Before introducing content, allow the students to look quietly. Silence can be hard for us as facilitators, but try counting to 20 in your head before talking. Introduce. Begin with a key idea that gives students a sense of understanding. We provide these for you in your curriculum booklet, but you can also come up with some on your own. For example, this is a drum that would be played at special celebrations. Ask. Start with an open-ended question that builds upon your key idea. Open-ended questions prevent a student from only responding with yes or no and not needing to support themselves. For example, what do you see that tells us this is a drum? Lastly, follow up. Take the time to be listening to your students' answers and try following up to their responses with a key idea or question that tells them you were listening. Think about it like this. Your student tells you that their brother plays the drum in the school band. Instead of switching the subject to the material or the color of the drum, ask, how do you feel when you hear your brother playing drums? We'll explore how to ask these questions more in virtual training, which leads me to what comes next. Let's talk about after this video. Give yourself time to review your curriculum booklet. Read through it cover to cover and make sure you're comfortable with the material. Questions or concerns? Send me an email. I am here to be a resource. Attend the virtual training session best suited to your needs, or come to more than one. I'm offering a variety of virtual sessions. You can attend one or all three at no additional cost to your school. So what are your options? Let's look. Introduction to Art Adventure. This is if you're newer to the program and are looking to get more comfortable with conversations and facilitation. Come and talk with me and other picture people about starting a successful conversation, introducing and developing key ideas, asking open-ended questions, and following up to student responses. We'll dive deeper into the best practices I just mentioned. Your second option is talking with kindergarten through third graders. Whether this is your first year or 10th year, you know you're comfortable talking with children who want to know how to cater your conversation to younger students. Let's learn and practice how to take big art historical information and make it accessible to kindergartners. How can we get first and second graders to have fun and be silly while also learning? What techniques can we use to push third graders further, getting them to think about more complex connections? Your third option is talking with fourth graders and older students. Similar to the last option, you know you like talking to students, but you want to know how to engage this older audience. These grade levels start to be more challenging to engage because they have a greater fear of being wrong or saying the wrong thing in front of their peers. How can we make them feel comfortable so that they want to talk with us? How can you introduce bigger ideas that may not be appropriate for a first or second grader? I've given you a lot of information, but the good news is you can go back and watch the section over, then contact me with any questions. Training is not specific to your theme this year, and I hope you'll take advantage of attending more than one topic. Before we dive into your theme and artwork, take a moment to pause this video, stretch, and take a quick break. Let's celebrate life. What to expect. The goal of this video is to introduce the 6 artworks in your art adventure set to you and provide some context for each of them. You have access to a curriculum booklet as well, so please remember to take time and read through that for additional content. This video is not meant to be a deep art historical dive. We're going to spend most of our time moving through your 6 artworks key ideas. I will also introduce some suggested questions. The key ideas are great ways to start your conversations. You can also develop your own key ideas. Come to a virtual training session to learn more tips and tricks. The suggested questions are meant to be easily adaptable to all grade levels. Remember, not everything we provide you with is appropriate for all ages. Know your audience. Classroom preparation will happen when we meet virtually, where we will explore what makes a successful classroom visit. Please register for a virtual session or all three and join me for a closer look at how to turn what you learned today into a fun educational conversation. Let's get started with a sound suit. Nick Cave assembled this sound suit in 2010 from a variety of vintage toys and doilies. Cave lives in Chicago and early in his career was struggling with his identity as a Black gay man in a racially divided city. These suits allowed Cave to claim and defend his identity through his art. Take a moment and pause the video if you'd like to look closely at this sculpture. Sound suits are a way to show, hide, express, celebrate, and communicate the wearer's identity. You can be whatever you want to be when wearing a sound suit. Sound suits are made of recycled and found objects. So what are some questions you can ask? Sound suits are meant to be worn. Look closely. What do you see that makes you think you could wear this? Imagine how it might feel to step inside. What does it smell like? How does it feel as you move? This is made of old, noisy toys collected at flea markets and garage sales. What do you see that looks like a toy? What might this sound like as it moves? What toys would you include on your own sound suit? Why? Sound suits like this one help us express ourselves. What might this sound suit be celebrating? What do you see that makes you say that? What would you put on your sound suit to represent you? Where would you wear your sound suit? Why? Next, let's look at a dress. A female Lakota artist made this dress sometime between 1880 and 1890. The turtle by the shore of the lake design, made with thousands of glass seed beads, represents the Lakota creation story centered on the sacred turtle. Not only was the woman wearing this dress protected by the turtle, but also by the animal hide itself. Hides embody the spirit power of the animals from which they came. Take a moment, pause the video if you'd like, and look closely at this dress. Female artists are highly respected and celebrated for their skills and art. The turtle image brings protection and good health, so it is common for women's clothing and accessories to be decorated with this symbol. Dresses like this are worn during traditional celebrations, where the woman dances slowly and gracefully to the beat of the music. This is not a dress you would wear every day. So what are some questions you could ask? This dress uses shapes to represent everyday things. Look at the colorful beadwork at the top. What shapes do you see? The top of this dress is designed to look like the sky, horizon or land, and water. What do you see that looks like those things? In the center of the chest is a green U representing a turtle. How do the artists use shape and color to tell us it is a turtle? Why do you think the artist did it that way? Artists take a lot of time to carefully design and make these dresses. The yoke along the shoulders is the most important part of the dress. What do you think makes it the most important? Why? Dresses like this one are worn to special celebrations. What kind of clothes do you wear to special celebrations? How are they similar or different from this dress? Next artwork is a painting called The Blessing of the Tunic Fleet at Blois. Paul Signac painted this seascape in 1923. Blois, located in northwestern France, was known for its long tradition of blessing the fishing boats. The boats are heading towards Ireland with the hope of catching tuna to bring home to the families of the fishermen and townspeople. Signac captures the celebration through the color and texture of his oil painting. Take a moment to pause the video and look closely at this painting. The community came together to celebrate the fishermen leaving on a long, tough journey. The community relied on the fishermen's catch to support them and feed them. The artist used bright colors and thick brushstrokes to add emotion to the painting. So what are some questions we can ask? The whole town has gathered to celebrate. Look closely. What about this painting looks like a celebration? How might the people be feeling? What do you see that makes you say that? Think about something you have done to celebrate an important moment. How did you feel? Why? Imagine you are in this painting. Close your eyes if you want. What do you smell? What sounds do you hear? What are you feeling? Pick a color you see in the painting. How does that color make you feel? Why? Choose a complementary or different color. Do you feel differently? How so? Let's look at a hand drum. This drum from the 1900s was made by a Yatmul artist in Papua New Guinea. The Yatmul believe in a creator named Wagan, who was a giant mythological crocodile. His tail creates things like earthquakes, and the world exists on his back. This elaborate drum is an example of how the Yatmul decorated every object, tool, and instrument. These designs connect the objects to the spirit world and its powers. Take a moment to pause the video if you'd like and look closely at this hand drum. The crocodile is an important animal to the Yatmul and connects them with their ancestors. This drum was used in a graduation celebration where boys were first seen as adults. The music made by this drum connected the community to the spirit world. So what are some questions we can ask? This is a drum. Look closely. What clues tell you this is a drum? Make a sound you think this drum might make. Why do you think it would sound that way? The handle of this drum is shaped like a crocodile. What do you see that tells you it is a crocodile? If you could touch the handle, how do you think it would feel? What do you see that makes you say that? What questions do you have? Drums like this were played for special celebrations. Think of something you celebrate. Is there music? What kind of music? How does the music make you feel? Next, let's look at another painting called The Birthday Party. John Singer Sargent painted this family portrait in 1887. He made it for a fellow artist in honor of the son's 6th birthday. The artist traded paintings instead of payments. Sargent almost always prioritized light, color, and shape over realism. This celebratory scene is captured like a photograph, with details falling out of the frame and people caught mid-movement. Take a moment, pause the video, and look closely at this painting. There are many different ways to celebrate a birthday. The invention of the camera changed how artists painted special moments. The camera allowed an artist to capture a celebration almost instantly, as it was happening. The artist wanted viewers to see the boy as the most important person in the painting. So what are some conversation starters? This painting is of a celebration. Look closely. What do you see that makes you think they are celebrating? Why? The artist wanted the boy to be the most important person in the painting. What did the artist do to draw your attention to the boy? What do you see that makes you say that? Look all around the painting. What details are easy for you to see? Why? What details are hard for you to see? Why do you think the artist painted it this way? Next, let's look at a plank mask. This mask is from a southern Bois village in Burkina Faso, located in West Africa. Made around 1960, this mask was used in masquerades. Celebrating the transition from child to adult, boys and girls spend almost 2 weeks learning from their elders and practicing song and dance. They return to the village where boys dance in costumes to the singing of the girls. Take a moment, pause the video if you'd like, and look closely at this mask. This mask was used in graduation celebrations when boys and girls were first seen as adults. This mask represents spirits that were important to the Bois community. Boys and girls learn about their community and ancestors as they prepare for graduation. They also get to learn the meaning of the different shapes seen on the mask. So what are some questions to start with? This is a mask. What do you see that tells you it is a mask? How is it similar from other masks you have seen? What do you see that makes you say that? What makes it different? This mask is decorated with shapes that make a face. Look closely. What shapes do you see? What do they remind you of? How did the artist use the shapes to make a face? How does this face make you feel? This mask connected the community to their ancestors. How do you connect to your ancestors or elders in your community? A few things before you go. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everyone's patience as we test out a new virtual training model. I hope you're beginning to feel familiar with your artworks. Remember, have you registered for your live session? Don't forget to look at the training calendar or talk with your coordinator about your options. You can come to one or all three. Do what is best for you. Questions? Email artadventure@artsmia.org. I'm working remotely from home for the time being, and your best chance for a quick response is if you send an email. Thank you.
Okay. So is everybody still there?
The only way to get consulting clients into
See if I can stop the runaway YouTube. Okay, so is everybody able to hear okay? We covered that video again, just highlights those 6 pieces of art that we're going to be leading these sessions through. And as Amanda mentioned, there is the option of the additional live sessions, which is part 2, and I'll address that here in just a second. But to begin with, what we want to do is talk a little bit about how we've packaged these 6 pieces into 3 classroom sessions. So by doing that, we take and we pair 2 of them. So we have 3 sets, right? So we have sets A, B, and C. And what we've done in working with Robin, I don't know if you want to wave and say hello to everybody. Robin has
Hi,
stepped
everyone.
in with the creative piece of this. Okay, so Robin took those 6 pieces with Jen's help, actually. They've created these sets. So our first set, we're going to pair the sound suit and the woman's dress. And then at the end of that class, you know, it's the idea of you going into the classroom as the picture person, the beginning of the class, whether you're doing it virtually from home like I am, or there in person, you pull up the image on the screen and you're going to show them the sound suit and the woman's dress. And like Amanda mentioned, what we often do, what we recommend is as you show that first piece of art, you ask those kids to just sit silently and look at it and raise their hand when they have something that they want to share. And after you count to 20 or you give them a minute, then you can call on them by hand. When you don't preface it that way, you can end up with some chaos in the classroom because kids get really excited and they start blurting things out. But if you always try to start with like a quiet moment, look at that one piece of art, and then let's talk about it. And then the normal pattern typically is you move on to then the next piece of art. Take a moment, everybody, silently look, raise your hands. And that takes like that 15 minutes or so, okay? There's a lot of flexibility. You can always do this differently if you wish, but this is kind of the pattern that we found that works. So with set A, you're going to go through those 2 pieces of art. And again, it's not really a history lesson. You're going to find pretty easily, these kids are going to run with stuff. They're going to start talking. And your job is almost more of like birthday party supervisor. You got to kind of rein them in, kind of direct the conversation. If from your booklet, you remember 3 things about that piece of art, that's all you need. The kids kind of run with it from there. So after the discussion, you go into the art project, which I don't know if you can see, it depends on how you have your view set up, but that art project for this set is the idea of a sound bracelet. So Robin, I don't know if you want to step in here and you can talk a little bit about the project.
Sure, thanks, Pam. Yeah, so we decided for this art project to really draw inspiration from the sound suit. So we're going to be having the students make a sound bracelet. Some might make a different type of accessory, but we're going to direct them to a sound bracelet. And each student will receive 5 or 6 pipe cleaners. And from there, we're going to help direct them to start making a band that goes around the wrist. And for the younger kids, they may just want to twist 2 of them together. It's nice to have more than one because it can hold then the extra pieces that we add to it. And for the older kids, you know, maybe they want to braid it just to add a little more skill to that they may have. And then once they have created the band for the wrist, then, so, you know, they're just gonna give you a quick tutorial. They'll fold it together. And then what I did for mine, and I'll show you, you can see the picture on the screen, but kind of fold the other ones in half and just stick them through the bracelet and give them a little twist. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure you can, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then we're going to be supplying a lot of trinkets that you can then, the students can then attach to the tips of the pieces that are coming out here. Everything from pop tops to shells and bells and paper clips and things that will make some noise when they move them. And so I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a little jingling happening with this one, and it is wearable, and it's just basic little trinkets. We are also going to be asking the teachers to put a notice in some of their communications so that families may be able to bring in some little trinkets to help contribute to add to some of these things.
Perfect, thank you. All right, and then set B, do you want to talk a little bit about that project?
Sure. So we drew inspiration from the tuna fleet, sort of creating this paper mosaic. And we are going to be providing students with stencils. And we're going to have 5 different stencils. You can see this one that we have shown is the boat. And they're each going to receive 2 sheets of paper, 1 white sheet and 1 colored sheet. And they're going to trace their stencil on their paper. And then they're going to create something that might look like this. They're going to glue sheets of little tissue paper within their stencil on their white paper. And then they're going to overlay it with the top sheet. They're going to end up making their own stencil with stencils we provide. And then we're going to glue them together to create sort of this sort of mosaic quality on our projects that sort of emulate the painter's quality on the tuna fleet painting.
Great. And our last set.
And the last one, we are going to be providing paper plates for each student. And then we're hopeful that we'll be able to use the crayons that they've provided from their personal stash, the red and black crayons. And we're going to draw inspiration from the mask, the plank mask, using geometric shapes. And they can create as detailed or as simple, as controlled, as free-flowing as they would like, but really studying sort of the line of the plank mask and using the paper plate as their platform for drawing. So that's just an example that came up with to show one way that can be done over here.
Perfect. Thanks, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now that we've covered the 6 different pieces of art and how we're grouping them into our 3 sets, we've also been in communication, I think with nearly all of you about when your sessions may be. We've worked with your schedules and the teachers' preferences to try to match you up. So like I'd mentioned, there are some of you are doing 1 session. Some of you are doing 3 sessions all in the same classroom, and we have other people who are doing 1 here, 1 there. So we have it all kind of divvied up. So our next step now is after this training, we'll be sending you an email that's going to include a link to this recorded training session. So if you want to go back and rewatch things, if you want to watch the entire session with us speaking, or you just want to watch the Mia video that we watched in the middle, we'll have all that broken out for you, as well as the links to the online images, so that you'd be able to pull up 1 image at a time in your session as you're talking about the 2 within that set. Aside from that training recap email, then that second item that's listed here is going to be the Sign Up Genius email, which is basically a way for us to keep all of the schedule in one spot. And then you can all see who's signed up when in the event that we maybe need to swap. So what you'll do, and we'll have the instructions in that, is you'll log in to Sign Up Genius, and based on the email communication you've had with us, you'll go in and select those sessions based on the date and the time. and you'll just add your name. So it should just be confirming the session information we've already emailed with you. And then that third step that's listed is if you feel like you would like to sign up for another virtual meeting with Mia to go over how the intro to Art Adventure or how to present to the younger kids or the older kids, we'll give you those links as well. And two, when you're watching this video, these hyperlinks are live. So as you look at this, you'd be able to click through. So those are kind of all the next steps that are coming up. I just, in kind of covering all this information, I wanted to assure you it feels kind of overwhelming right now, but I think truly the best way to prepare for that classroom session is you just make sure you've got the right day and time based on Sign Up Genius, and then really make use of this booklet. Just highlight your key points that you want to make about that piece of art. And like I'd say, it's as simple as just remembering 3 things about that one piece of art, because the kids are they're gonna go to town. It's fun. So between confirming your session and looking at your booklet, all you do is you'll go to the PTO closet, and this will be detailed in this recap email we send. And you'll grab your bag of art materials and you go to the class, and that's it. Go for it. It's really fun. It's very free form. You can make changes to this as much as you want, but this is kind of the format that's worked for us in the past. So one other note on, if you have extra time and there's anything more that you want to help with, we do need some help in collating and preparing our art materials. We're going to count those out for each classroom, for each art set, so that they're ready and you're just going into the PTO closet to grab them and go. We might also need some help with photocopying, as well as some extra sessions that we might not have volunteers matched up for. So if you think you have some more time, just reach out and let us know. We've got the email address there at mbartadventure@gmail.com.
Pam, Debbie raised her hand with a question.
Oh, sure. Debbie, go ahead.
I chatted it also, but if we're not in person, does the teacher collect the materials, and what happens with that?
Yeah, so once we know everyone that's going to be doing virtual sessions, we'll coordinate with getting the materials to the teacher in time for that session. And then any materials that are left over we'll collect at the end, but we will probably have things counted up fairly closely that they'll use what they have. And with that, we usually have some take-home flyers. We'll have everything kind of pre-collated, so we'll deliver if you're going to do it virtually. Okay.
Okay. And my other question, Jillian just asked also, where's the PTO closet?
Yeah. Jen, do you want to talk about that?
Okay, sure. Yes. So we got much more space to use in the PTO closet because we went through it a year ago, and it's just going to be a lot easier to use for those of us that are used to kind of cramming into the little kindergarten closet there. But basically you just go to the cafeteria, and there's a big bank of all of the windows where the kids get their food. And then all the way to the, I guess it would probably be the south end where the stage used to be, there's a hallway that goes out to the parking lot in front of door A. And the PTO closet is one of those doors in that hallway, right off the cafeteria. And we'll get a little map for you, and you'll get same situation in the front office. You'll get a name tag. You don't sign in anymore, I guess, and then you'll get a key to the closet to use. Yeah.
So we'll detail more of that for you in the email that comes. I wanted to mention, kind of in closing, Amanda in the video talked about being a resource to you. She provides your email address, and we have her phone number here. I would say generally, because Jen and I are handling the program for the school, you can always start with us first. And if you need additional assistance, we can always get Amanda involved. But generally, she's our primary contact, and then we should be able to break things down and help you with what you need. But we provide all contact info there in the deck. And then I think that kind of wraps up our portion. I wonder if anybody has any additional questions that we maybe haven't touched
I have a
on.
couple more from the chat. Looks like Sarah was asking, how about adding a paint stick to the mask projects, could we use tape to adhere?
Good idea. So maybe it's a matter of just sourcing, like if we had popsicle sticks or paint sticks would be nice for size. Maybe that's something we can just make note of, and Jen and Robin and I can see what we're able to pull together.
Yeah, I mean, just overall, I'm so happy that there's more ideas coming in, but we actually are a little bit short on funds this year, just for the fact that Meadowbrook kid population is getting bigger every year. So I don't know if we can really use any, very easily buy any more supplies for this year. So that's kind of why we're relying on the classroom supplies for markers and crayons for that. But I don't see any problem with that particular volunteer bringing in enough, if they choose, bringing in enough in that particular session, you know, I would say.
Okay.
And then Jason was asking, will we find out which set we'll be presenting via the Sign Up Genius? And the answer to that is yes. And the answer to that is also that your sister, I think, was the person that coordinated that in the past.
She was the
And-
original Sign Up Genius.
Yeah.
So I don't,
and your sister Katie. And I will tell you that right now it's sort of, we've got it displayed here. Pam's got it displayed in the background. And right now I just kind of have arbitrarily put in set A, B, or C, but please don't pay attention to them because I have not gotten all the slots signed up yet. And so I've been kind of terrified to do it because we still have what, like maybe 15-20% of the teachers not quite responding and locking in those session dates. And if those session dates, if 3 more get added on a certain day and I don't have the sets for it, that's going to be happening between now. And I feel like our first session is January 11th, right, Pam?
yeah, actually, yes, so I can flip in Sign Up Genius. You can flip from the list view to this calendar view. So this shows us where we are today on the 3rd. Our first sessions, we have 2 classrooms on the 11th, the 12th, and you're able to scroll through and kind of see overall where things are laid out. But I'm thinking in terms of which set people are assigned to, it really won't matter as much this year because we have virtual materials, because you're using
That's
a virtual
right.
image. Before we used to have to really worry, like we didn't want to assign the poster board of set A to 3 different people at the same time. It didn't work. So this time, I think we probably can keep it pretty much laid out the way that you see it here. And we'll
That's
just
right,
be
and-
emailing you guys the link.
Yeah,
We will
we
go
used to
in.
have- Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other benefit of that is these kids, they pay attention. They know when they've had their art adventure project, they'll look and see what the other kids are carrying around in the hallways. So the benefit is now most likely, you know, their classrooms will go through set A similarly in timing. So it'll be fun to see the kids notice. They'll keep track of who's doing what project based on the mess in the hallways. But I think, yeah, for the the Sign Up Genius, I think it's pretty well set. We'll just be adding, like Jen mentioned, a couple more that have come in lately, and then we'll send you that link. And again, it should match up with what you've already received in your emails. But if there's ever anything that does not match, just let us know. Okay.
I'm so glad that that just became easier before my very eyes because
Yeah.
I thought that I would have to
That'll work.
do the matrix and Tetris and okay, good.
Yeah.
And then Heather's asking, is it possible to have a teacher grab the materials and have them ready for those who are coming into the classroom?
I would say my experience is the teachers are usually running from one thing to the next in the classroom. So I've never seen them able to do that. But I would say if you can plan for time, you know, plan to get there with like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to spare at least to get to the PTO closet, grab your materials and then go to the class. That would be ideal. But if you need help, you just let us know. You know.
Yeah, I think like I'm gonna be stopping in weekly to get kits set up for those that are signing up virtually. But I guess to save me from coming in for every session and getting things delivered to the teachers, if we could all add a little bit more time to pick it up, that would be helpful for just the coordinators.
I think one other tool I wanted to mention here as we're talking about scheduling is the idea of those 3 additional live sessions that Mia offers with, you know, the intro to art adventure, talking to your kindergarten through 3rd grader or your 4th through 6th grader. There's a link that we'll provide and it gives you this kind of a calendar. So, you know, if you have a sense of when your sessions are and you're interested in taking one of these additional training classes, basically, they generally are starting kind of scattered here throughout January, and they go into February and March. So you'll have options there, and we'll give you that link so you see it. Okay.
And then Pam, Teresa was saying, does the teacher have the screen for online access and art visuals in the classroom already, or do we need to bring something?
Good question. So the teachers don't have any of that now. I think our goal would be that we minimize the teacher's responsibility with the whole program because they are kind of stressed or strapped as it is. So what I'd recommend is if you have your own device of some sort, ideally like a laptop, but if you have it on your phone, you'll have those links and you can pair with the monitor in the classroom pretty easily. So I typically bring my own laptop and I'll have the links available in my email, or sometimes I'd have them pulled up in advance. So once I pair with the monitor or the board in the classroom, it's automatic. If you don't have that option, we have the ability to email it to the teacher. Since they're already using the board every minute of the day, they would just open their email and click the link for you. And as you move to that second piece of artwork, they would just click the second link. So it's pretty easy. Does that help? Okay. Okay, so did we cover all the chat questions? Yeah,
I think so.
good. Okay. The only other side note I thought of as we were listening to the video is, and Allie and I were texting on the side about that. It's like kids in the back of the classroom ourselves. The sound suit, for example, it's 8 feet tall, and you would not know that by looking at that image, right? It looks like this thing couldn't be that big. So sometimes that's the benefit of going into the classroom, right? This, right, for people who've seen it in the museum, it's life size. And the detail is actually on the page where it has the description in our curriculum booklet. But that's one of the misses in presenting either on a board or on a screen is the kids don't understand the magnitude of it. So ideally, something that we want to touch on toward the end of the program is we want to encourage the teachers to do field trips with the kids. And that's not always an option for a variety of reasons, scheduling or finances for a bus. But we'll send information home with the kids so that their families know that the museum is free and they could go and see it. And if they get to see a piece like this where they saw it on the screen and then they go in person and it's like 3 times their height, it's pretty cool. So as you're reviewing your booklet, maybe keep that in mind. Like even some of the paintings, sometimes they've been tiny. So when the kids see them in person, they're shocked. Sometimes they're enormous. So think about scale as you talk about it with the students. Okay. I think that's it. We'll end a little early. If anybody has questions, maybe there's another chat. Okay, so yeah, if you're not sure about teaching in person or virtually, we can do another session and talk through the virtual setup because I think really I'm the only one that's done it virtually since COVID started. Our program has been a little handicapped since COVID started, not being able to go into the classroom. So we've done it on the fly and it's worked really well. So I think if those of you are interested in a virtual session, go ahead and just email us at that regular MB Art Adventure email address. And we can see based on how many there are, we can maybe do a different session. But it'd be very similar to what we're doing here, except we're using Zoom right now. And with Google Meet, it's a little different. It depends if you've got experience or not, but I can walk you through it. Okay. Okay. And we're also happy to pair up. If you're kind of nervous about your first session, whether it's in person or virtual, we can pair up and I can come along and help. We can also pair you up with another volunteer who's got more experience. So if you're feeling a little unsure, reach out and let us know that as well. Because I could guarantee like you get in with the first session and you see how much fun it is and how it's pretty easy. It makes it much more doable for other sessions. Okay. All right. I think that's a wrap. I think, Jen, if you want to stop the recording or pull your magic, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for
Thank you.
doing Art Adventure. We're so happy to have you on board. Okay.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Robin.
Hey, I didn't know if we needed to stay on to debrief, but I figure all is
No,
good.
yeah, I just was texting Erin because
Do we need to stop the recording?
she's the one that's gonna stop the recording. I don't really see how I can do that right now.
Okay,
So I just texted her and she's gonna stop it here. I
Okay.
confirmed with her recently that she does need to come on and stop the recording. So.
I don't know if we want to take it offline because it might be
Sounds
hard to,
good.
but yeah.
Yep.
Do you want to chat now or another time? I don't know if there's anything.
Sure. I mean, are you up for a little while? Because Pam just texted me too.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
I will be.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
thanks,
bye.
Jen. Okay.
Yeah, bye. The end. Did you stop the recording?